Warning. Every one of you listening to my voice, tell the world. Tell this to everybody wherever they are. Watch the skies everywhere. Keep looking. Keep watching the skies.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this Wednesday on UFO Maxx. My name is Grantavious Maxx, and this is Lee Strauss, also on Element 115. Today, we have a very interesting story for you. But first, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. A race fan had told me the lineup, which is Gold Place. Doesn't surprise me for him. He was in Gold Place, I think, a record of over 300 times once. It is quite wild. Kitty Cattywack in second and Lisa Piper in third. Good job, guys. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio's weekend show. So I say hi to you, Bar Madison. Hello.
Whoa. You said weekend show.
Or the weekday show. I want to be on the weekend. Not on the show. I just want it to be the weekend.
No kidding.
Oh my goodness. It's only Wednesday and it feels like
I'm ready.
Oh, I'm ready. David Nornberg, good to see you, my friend. Welcome back. Kathy Evans, always good to see you as well. Mel, WD40. All right. What's up, my friend? The Jaquetta? How does that say? Jaquetta?
Jaquetta?
Yeah. Looks good. Hi, folks. Well, hello to you. And sorry about my enunciation if I completely messed that up. Good evening, Frankie B. Good to see you here as well. Let's see. Delilah, welcome. Destiny Rocks, always right on. Welcome back. And we're caught up for the moment. All right. So everybody, I don't know if you've heard this. It's just a really quick blurb about Jesse Michaels. If you guys haven't seen Jesse Michaels or understand who he is, he did a long form podcast with Joe Rogan just recently. Very, very interesting podcast. We've talked about it before. Lee was, in fact, myself as well, is super impressed with that dude's ability to recall names, dates, times,
details, huge
details. It is absolutely crazy. But on his X, which is Jesse Michaels, spelt without an A and an S, so it's Jesse Michaels. Mr. Kirkpatrick wouldn't stand a chance up against Alchemy America, but how could he pass up $100,000 unless, of course, the DOD has him on a short leash? And that is response to Jesse Michaels saying, my buddy Kyle offered to double this, so we are now at $100,000 payment for a simple, unedited podcast appearance from Sean Kirkpatrick. In your mind, do you think that's ever going to happen?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. No way.
No, I don't.
Too many people there pulling some strings.
I believe so as well. And I notice when you get somebody, if they practiced or been coached what they're supposed to say, and they can just kind of run through it and get it done and over with, but then you get them on a one-to-one basis in either a debate or a podcast where they can just have long form conversation, then they fall flat. They get on. They just right on their face.
Yeah, they're going to run out of material rather quickly. The stuff that they've rehearsed, right? And so then they're going to get exposed, most likely. So yeah.
Well, I think he would be very much exposed, especially with what he's been trying to do to misdirect and hide certain details and straight out, in my opinion, not telling the truth to the Senate. And it's just, the list goes on. It's not helping anybody. And you know what's unfortunate? He's probably turned people, like already affected the people in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I just remembered this today. Out of the blue, people, everybody remembers President Clinton So he was sitting in a chair, laid back, how he always was.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a long time ago. And in that interview, kind of half speech, half interview, is real non-formal. He said something that really caught my attention. And he says, in the future, we're going to find even things like, biologics on Earth or other, forms of life here on
Mm-hmm.
Earth. And he says, and you will also find other awesome things in heaven or interesting things in heavens. And he says, or in space.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's going to cause a lot of problems at first. But then once it's all kind of settled down, it'll be a positive for everybody. He says, the people that are young then will be able to experience it and see it all unfold. Have you seen that?
I do not remember seeing that.
Oh
That's
my
kind
gosh.
of huge, actually.
It was massive. Unfortunately, when I had seen it, I was like, what? I've never seen that before. I don't even remember what I seen it on. I was just happenstance across it today while I was walking from one car to fix to another. And I was listening to, I want to say YouTube at the time. And then I just happenstance across that. If
Wow.
that there doesn't tell you something, he was read in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely read in. Cosmic Joe Chronicles, Ringo Starr is still alive, he says. Well, that would be great because I would love to talk to him. I mean, like, really love to talk to him.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if I can find that.
Well, speaking of keeping things under wraps, the Defense Department's budget is 9 billion or 900 billion dollars, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it employs 3 million people, which is ridiculous.
What?
It employs 3
3 million.
million people actually work for the Defense Department.
I'm actually
That's nuts.
that's actually very surprising. I didn't realize it was that much.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money just makes you want to kind of gag a little bit. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What I'll try to do is I will try to find that. If anybody's interested, try to find it. If you do find that clip, please send the link into the comments, and I will be able to pick that up, and we can show it to everybody. He's pretty laxed. He's facing to if you're looking at the screen, he's facing to the right, and that's when he talks about that, which is really interesting. 3 million, holy mackerel, man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you divide $9 billion by 3 million people.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, but how many programs is that $900 billion going into? There's stuff going on that we have no idea. Can you imagine? Just
the sheer amount of money, and that's probably just what they're telling us. Hello,
yeah.
Jennifer, good seeing you. It's just what they're telling us, and I know there's black budget programs, secret programs that are out there. How else do you think when they're like, hey, even if, let's say, the Wall Street Journal says this, and the DoD is like, yes, we actually really did this, just for giggles. They put it out there. They're making stuff that's obviously crazy, antigravitic. It doesn't tear itself apart when it makes these high maneuver turns. Ridiculous stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
That's part of the money, like even billions of dollars. I don't know if it would take. I don't even know. It'd probably take more than that. So there's going to be more money that's gone missing. Do you remember as a kid when you were in school when we used to make fun of the government? Oh, a toilet seat was $5,000.
But it's true. It's true. Even being in the construction, that certain companies make the prices go higher just because it's going to go in someone's home. Right?
He said the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
For contractors have to pay more than Joe homeowner in a lot of cases.
Mhm. Yep. And I mean, and that's basically, I believe that everything that we have out there is
Mhm.
with contractors. That's the reason
Mhm.
why the government would be like, we don't have this. We don't know what you're talking about. Well, of course you don't, because you gave it to Lockheed Skunk Works or whoever.
Plausible deniability, right?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. All right, so let's move on to, we got alien hybrids. Now, this one's an interesting, folks. I don't know. In fact, this is the first time I've heard this man's name. I was watching another, while I listened to it first, then I watched it, then I listened to it again today on Area 52 with Chris Ramsey. His name is John Ramirez. So, John Ramirez is literally a former CIA analyst. They talked about an alleged human alien hybrid program, alien bloodlines, classified UFO reverse engineering efforts. It is absolutely an amazing interview. The guy, when you watch his body language, which is why I had to watch it after I listened to it, was very relaxed. He was calculated with what he said. When he goes into certain things, then it really sits you down. His main experiences, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, at the very end, he started talking about his experiences, which were very interesting.
Mhm.
And we'll tie that into something else here in a minute. But he had talked about Soviet radar and anomalous signals. So about 2 days ago was when I started hearing about a Russian or a Soviet general that has come.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Talking about how they could actually call them in and
Mhm.
communicate with them via their body movements and their mind. And it's like, whoa, that we're getting into psionics. I had to think about that for a
Mhm.
second.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing about this is when you start talking about, and he's bringing this stuff up at the same time, which is where I think everybody else is kind of getting it. But then that Russian general was there's a video out there of him talking about this stuff, and of course John Ramirez was talking about it as well. And he goes on to say, what the most of the orbs that we're seeing are energy based.
Yeah.
That they are structured, though. There is a structure there. Then he also integrates the fact that there is a consciousness involved in it as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
What's your thought on that?
Well, it seems like at one point in time, maybe 50 years ago or 60 years ago, there seemed to be more of this contact with individuals, more on a personal level than there is now. I mean, we're doing CE5s and this sort of thing, but there seems to be quite possibly an embargo that has been put in place for just normal contact, just like you're talking about with the Russian general. I mean, they were doing stuff back then, right?
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot less of that going on now because some communication has happened between governments and the ETs to where they wouldn't do as much.
Well, yeah, I can see that. You know, they go on to say when it comes to ETs, like, we are not in control of this.
Oh no, no.
We're not. And he did say something that was, it's true. If they want to come down right now and make themselves be known, they can. Of
Mhm.
course, you have everybody and their dog on a podcast somewhere on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're at.
Mhm.
Excuse me, saying, "Oh, they're just waiting because they're waiting for us to get to a certain point or for everybody
Mhm.
not to freak out." I can kind of see that, but you're also overlaying, what is the word that I'm looking for? What we would do as humans
Mhm.
to them, and
Right.
I don't know if that actually
It
works.
doesn't translate. It doesn't translate well. Mm.
And then, I mean, it doesn't.
We
I don't. Go ahead.
I said we could want all we want, I mean, but it doesn't do a hell of beans um, in the big picture,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean, what do they gain? what's interesting is the more and more I'm getting into this recently, it's looking more like consciousness related, like
Mm-hmm.
we might be in the Matrix, who knows? And the ability for psionics to even work tells you that there's more going on to, what we've been led to believe. You just wake up, you go to work, you go home, you feed your kids, you take a shower, you go to sleep, you wake up the next day and do it again.
Yeah.
It's you look at it that way, it's very mundane. But
Right.
with everything that's been going on, there is obviously something more. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so John Ramirez was even talking about it, that we have the innate ability, which has gone dormant in humans,
Yep.
to even know the poles, like the magnetic poles. You know how like birds will fly south and north or whatever.
Exactly. Right.
And we had that ability. It's gone dormant, whether somebody shut it off, whether you believe in the emerald tablets and Thoth, how we were, cut back to 120 years and our
Mm-hmm.
genetics was manipulated. It could be anything.
Right.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because even John was talking about alien DNA in humans as the hybrids, which is one of his main focuses. In
Right.
fact, there's a bloodline that certain agencies are following. He didn't give an exact location, but northeast United States, where there's people that have a very certain and very peculiar genetic code that
Hmm.
they're very interested in. Could be hybrids.
Interesting. Interesting.
I'd like to know what their blood type is, to be honest with you.
Oh
I
yeah.
wonder if they're
A lot
Rh
of
negative.
people. Yeah. Or there's a lot of people that say it's O type that is also very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not very fond of being O. The reason why is because I'm not O positive. I'm type O negative. And I believe that I can give blood to everybody, but I can only receive it. I can only receive type O negative. And
Gotcha.
it's not the rarest blood type. I think Rh negative is the rarest, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
right on its heels. And so I'm very careful about knives.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut myself. Ah,
Or
but
motorbikes flying down the road at 90.
that
Yeah.
would be me. I don't do
I
90
know.
anymore.
Yeah. I figured.
No, I mean, okay, I will admit once when I was much, 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 much younger, I was 20 when I did this.
Mm.
And I had a 1995 J6R 750. For anybody out there that has ever owned a 1995 J6R 750 and says that bike goes 200 miles an hour, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong. It does 163 miles an hour in sixth gear at wide open throttle. I tried. And it was running pretty good that day. So
There you go.
Kurt W75 O negative, rock on, my man. Welcome to the club. Unless you're older than me, and then I'm welcome to your club. That is awesome. And Type O negative is an awesome metal band, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So John Ramirez goes into his abduction memories and personal connection. It's a little creepy when he starts talking about it, especially with the whole his mom took him to a house, a lady or a nurse meets him, walks him into like this old style Victorian home, almost like he went into the past. Is what it seems like, because even the equipment inside was of yore, that wasn't new stuff, and he'd gone there a few times. And
Yeah.
if you guys want to listen to it, it gets kind of crazy of what he starts talking about. And then he goes into my favorite part of it, which was the undersea surveillance and neural program. This is the first time that I've heard an actual speed that these fast walkers are going. They're going over 500 knots underwater. How's that even possible?
Well, just like they go through the sky. I mean, there's no resistance, either through the sky or through the water for them.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they've been reportedly able to go through space, through our atmospheres without burning up, getting
Mhm.
hot. So they're able to move things around them. I almost wonder, I heard someone else talking about it before, where they're able to, they're not the ones moving. They're moving space around them, not
Yeah,
moving through it, which would be that would be really neat. And that's the
right.
reason why they're able to do what they're doing without feeling any negative effects. In fact, to them, they're not even moving. They're just sitting there watching everything move around them.
Well, if that's the case, they should be able to move through solid objects
Mhm.
as well. There shouldn't be any stopping them.
Well, look at a lot of people have had encounters in the middle of the night of the same stuff where
Yeah,
they I watched it walk through my door. It's like, "Wait, what?" Or right through my wall.
yeah. Or
And
it pulled me through the wall,
yeah,
right? I mean, you hear that all the time too.
I wonder if that's a vibrational thing.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure. Some sort of
But
a warp bubble they could put around somebody, and then I don't know.
yeah, maybe. I mean, that almost seems like science fiction to me. But then you start talking to people like, Matthew Brown, when he says that we've had this tech, and other people have
Mhm.
said that we've had this tech since the 50s.
Right.
Where it didn't even take us long to figure out anti-gravity, but the people that got a hold of it kept it really close to the chest. So that's the
Mhm.
reason why when he sat there and said, "Hey, you know, we have a tech, then now we are the normies, I guess." And we've been left behind, which can happen. Like, you get people out there, was it Northrop
North
and
Grumman, yeah.
Lockheed and all that, and these huge companies that make multi-billions of dollars a year, where they're developing all this crazy stuff. Well, they could have their own, backdoor program that is reverse engineering this stuff, which, John Ramirez is saying is happening. What
Hmm.
and we wouldn't even know about it. One
Right.
of the coolest things, and I was talking to you about this earlier, back in 2004,
Hmm.
around that time, when Commander David Fravor and everybody saw the Tic Tac, the Go Fast, the gimbal, and all these videos, and then they, of course, came out quite later, but they had a brand new radar system put on their jets. Do you remember
Hmm.
that? And I think
Yeah.
they thought something was wrong with it. Yeah.
Hmm.
And they
Right.
realized it wasn't.
Hmm.
John Ramirez, I think, let something slip in this interview about radar systems. And so he is now retired, and they could be, I don't remember when he retired, but he got into some really interesting stuff. He's like, yeah, when we were watching the radars, because they're so scientifically advanced now, you can see the shape of the object, almost kind of like Wonka vision. Like, it just comes through. And I'm the one that stated the Wonka vision, guys. But he was able to see a craft that looked like, for lack of a better term, a water drop, like almost a tear shaped,
Hmm.
with sharp edges, and this craft is ours.
Yeah.
Also, he stated it doesn't land. It doesn't have the ability. It'll just break up once it comes into the Earth's atmosphere. It'll just get destroyed. So it stays
Mhm.
in space. Like, it's literally a spacecraft that we have built that can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Well, you're talking about radar real quick.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that theorize that that's what took down the spaceship, the UFO at Roswell, is they were testing new types of radar
Hmm.
and it interfered with their propulsion system in some way and it crashed. So, I mean, radar is an interesting thing. Basically it's just these beams that come out and anything that hits, it bounces back to
Hmm.
the collector, right? And so they're able to see things. So whatever it was that we were testing back then, I'm sure we've advanced in such a great way, that now ET has had to manipulate their propulsion so that they can get around it.
Oh yeah. Well, not only that, I've heard a couple different stories about the Roswell one, where it was electromagnetic, you know, exactly what you're saying, that their electronics got messed up with some type of electromagnetic or something going on the radar, or even a lightning strike or something in the atmosphere. It could be anything. And of course, everybody's like, well, if they're so advanced, how come they crash all the time? Well, we've talked about that many times, where some of those aren't crashes. Some of those are just they landed it and walked away. And then, let's say even Star Trek or Star Wars, they go to a planet where they're not used to their technology. Things happen. You can't look out for every single thing that's out there in the universe. There's going to be places where, and we haven't even figured out physics all the way. We thought we did. We thought we had the end of all physics back in Einstein's era. Not a chance. I don't even think we're close to figuring out what's really going on. But I don't know. These things,
yeah,
I would love to see it. He says one is the orbital spacecraft is actually egg-shaped, and it orbits the Earth, kind of like what is that satellite that Nikola Tesla? I just completely blanked it.
Are you talking about the Black Knight?
The Black Knight. So that orbits Earth. Of course, its orbit is wonky. It shouldn't be orbiting Earth the way it is. But what he's saying is there's an egg-shaped orbital spacecraft that's orbiting Earth, and it can go anywhere it wants. It can probably change orbits. It's probably been to the Black Knight, checked it out, seen what that is. And I don't know, like, gosh, it almost makes me want to just go out and buy a really high-powered telescope. Yeah. And just start searching skies. A buddy of mine who's actually been on the show, he has, I think it's called psionics, the cameras. Isn't that what they're called?
There's a psionics camera. Yeah.
So Terry, Terry
yeah.
Hall. So Terry, me and him got together when we were visiting Kevin Day, and I got to play with these cameras. Holy mackerel, those things are killer. And honestly, if I could run one, oh my goodness, look at you. Dude, that thing is massive.
This is what I use here. This is a Sony AS7 III.
But
yeah, this is the best low light camera that you can currently get. So, and then of course the lens is, a great lens.
Well, when you have a $2,000 body or whatever it costs, I know
they're not cheap.
No, they're not. Yeah, I don't have that. So I remember back, the only camera I have right now is the P900. I do have that. It's an older generation. They do have the P1000 out now.
Yes. Even higher than that. They're at 1100.
P1100.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. Now I gotta look. No, the Nikon. So when I bought the P900, I did it for one reason and one reason only. Oh, $1,000. That's not bad. And I did it because I started getting into like all the flat earth stuff where people were, and I was like, well, fine, I'll see if I can debunk this real quick. And I really wasn't serious into it. I took it out a few times. I've taken it to the ocean. So I don't know how you're supposed to do it. I did it standing up. So I washed a cargo container, go to where I couldn't see it no more. And then I zoomed in on it, and sure enough, it brought it back. I looked like I couldn't see a little bit less of the hole, So I was like, well, I don't know. How do you prove it? You know what I mean? I think you have to get somewhere above. It's hundreds of thousands of feet above the earth before you can even see the whole thing. So every time you guys watch the International Space Station and it's like, oh, look at the curve of the earth. That's absolute garbage. They're not high enough to actually, the earth is a lot bigger than you think it is. Yeah. And so, but still, that's the reason why I bought it. Nice camera, man. Good job. I'm going to have to, one of these days when I come see you, I'll check that out. That thing is, makes me jelly a little bit. Absolutely.
Well, that's kind of my forte. I've got all kinds of camera equipment. It's my thing.
Yeah. Wow. You that's fun to get into. Whereas I'm like, Every now and then I'll get cameras. I'm into cars. I'm into metal detecting, gold panning. I'm into RC cars, RC planes, RC helicopters. I'm all over the board. So
Yeah.
I spread my money out thin instead of just dive into one thing, which I should stop that. The one thing he did say, if you guys want to look into it, it's an hour and 41 minutes into the conversation, was preparing for a 2027 revelation. This is, in the last couple of weeks, is like the 6th time I've heard it from different avenues. I was kind of shocked that they had said something, but he didn't want to really respond to it. He's like, "Oh yeah, there's going to be stuff happening," but he didn't want to go deeper into it. What's your theory on this 2027?
Well, several people have come forward and said things. And I think because of that, what we're starting to see on YouTube is a lot of other people starting to say similar things.
Just to
Right.
be part of the
Yeah,
talk, I
just to
guess.
be part of the whatever, right? One of the things that I heard recently was that there was going to be a massive earthquake between Japan and China, in 2027. And I don't know, man. Predictions are tough, right? They just are. Even see, here's the thing, real quick about predictions is if a person is actually able to predict something, sometimes they're predicting something that doesn't even happen in this reality. It might happen in a reality very nearby to us. So who's to say?
I know this is stupid, but what is his name? Nostradamus?
Uh-huh.
There it is. Let's look. I'm gonna go and say let's go to the Nostradamus, because oh my gosh, I put in 20 and it comes up 2027 predictions. Why?
Because it's a hot thing right now. That's what you're going to get. Not only that, because we are talking about it, right? You know how Google is, right?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Man, my kid can be talking. So my daughter's 12 and I'm a guy. And she's like, I want to go to such and such place. This is it. And I won't even be paying attention to her because she's talking to my wife. And all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, I opened up Facebook and I have ads from Ulta. I'm like, what the heck is Ulta? And I look into it. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, what is this? And it listens to you. It's like, oh my gosh. So Nostradamus's prophecies for 2027 are primarily interpreted as pointing towards a potential of the world, or at least a significant turning point for humanity, which I believe that would be cool. Turning point. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the end, but then it goes into Pope Leo the 14th, Saint Malachi's prophecy, global turmoil, blah 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 blah. Like I cannot trust Google anymore.
No. Here's a thought too. We have so many people thinking about a certain thing happening. It could happen because we're thinking about it. And consciousness right now is a major talking point. It's huge across the internet.
It is. Well, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You put that much energy into it, you're going to bring it to fruition. If you're somebody that, you got to look at it this way. In fact, I was listening to another guy, might actually been here on our show, where he's like, yeah, if you put enough energy and thought behind something, like you really want to happen, it's going to happen. Oh my goodness. Hold on. It's my Bruderschaft. Oh, Filth, love you, man. Hey, if anybody wants to get his book of cartoons, cryptid cartoons, go ahead and go to Amazon and pick that up. I don't know where my book is right now. I think it's in my room. I promised I would show it to you guys on one of these shows. Filth, I love you. I promise you I will get it back on the desk so I can continue pushing your content. He also has his own cryptid drawing show here on our channel
on Sunday.
On Sundays, and it is amazing. Except for Sundays, I'm usually sleeping. It's my one day of rest. But yeah, That's awesome. So Jesse Michaels, Sean Kirkpatrick, and then there's the infamous Dr. Stephen Greer.
Ah, yeah. Mr. Greer.
Oh, yeah. So for anybody that knows, a few weeks ago, we did talk about the Buga Sphere.
Yep.
And what's interesting is I don't know exactly how this happened, but it got in the hands of Stephen Greer, and then it almost tried to get taken. So I believe I'm allowed to show this, but we're gonna do it anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna try it. So we're gonna go ahead and share this to the screen, and I'm gonna click on this, and I will be quiet so you can hear what it says.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm in Mexico City. As many of you know, we've been examining the Buga Sphere for the last 2 days with Congressman Burleson and a group of scientists. We've just been notified by Jaime Mason that there was an attempt by fake policemen to enter the vault where the Buga Sphere is stored, and we have notified security in the apparatus I'm working with under law enforcement. And you should know that the other risk here is that we have taken specific samples from the Buga Sphere that will be tested in a state-of-the-art lab to prove whether or not the metal, as well as some of the other components, are of Earth or outer space origin. Those scientists' information have been provided to the top law enforcement and security apparatus that I'm working with. And so any sort of attempts to interfere with this examination will be known, and the people and perpetrators will be held to account for. So this is what I wanted people to know, and we're doing everything to set up security for this. Thank you.
All right, so let me go ahead and stop it over on my side so I can quit listening to it. There we go. Now, I saw that, like 2, 3, 4 days ago. And then there was another one where you guys can find and listen to a little bit longer rendition of that. But he was standing there talking to a group of people on sort of a makeshift stage. And I don't know what to think about it. I know he means well, and he's always been in the center of this, topic and conversation. So, I mean, I can't fault the guy for that. He works harder than most of us do.
That's right.
And so I used to really like him. And then I got on the fence when the whole, CE5 stuff was going up on Mount Shasta here. And then now, he's still active. He's still doing it. Good for him. I don't know if I believe in the Buga Sphere. I don't know if it's real.
So I want to bring that up because you don't know if it's real, and I don't think it is. And this is why. He said he got samples from it.
Right.
How many times have we heard that they tried to cut and drill with diamond tip, this and that, and done everything they could to knock pieces off of a craft and haven't been able to do it?
Yeah. Even Bob Lazar says stuff like that.
Right.
Gosh, I don't know, man. It's one of those deals. Like, if you guys are interested in it, by all means, dive into what you're interested to. But with me, I'm still on the fence with it. You would have to come out with some extraordinary proof before I would believe it, especially the fact when you watch the video of the Buga Sphere and how it kind of floats up and comes down. It is moving, and then all of a sudden it goes behind a bush, and then there's a cut, and then you go back to a guy walking down to go get this thing that's just laying in the brush.
Yeah.
I wish you hadn't cut that, stop filming. I wish you would just start running with your camera as softly as possible so it doesn't get too jiggly. But yeah, I don't know. We'll find out when we find out. It's not too bad, but I don't know. Going back over from the Buga Sphere, now we can go over to the reptilians. Yeah, so John Ramirez, it's very interesting. He did talk about reptilians. He, in fact, said something to the coin that he had moved from one house to another, and he woke up and he got mad at one of them because they woke him up. And he started hitting him with his fists and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, you don't mind us. We just want to let you know that we know that you moved." It's like, what?
Yeah.
And then it gets into something a little crazier. And that's, you guys want to go to, Area 52 and watch that. That's fine. Go to that. Chris Ramsey's great. His interview's great. And I mean, the hybrid reality, the physical evidence that they talk about, the implants. And that's what I want to talk about next. Go watch it. It's great. But I want to do something a little different tonight. I'm going to pull up, and I got it situated in a way where you guys, I'm not going to show you the comments. I will read them to you, but I don't want you guys to see the names for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if I can get them out of there. There we go. You will be able to see a couple of my friends on my friends list, but that's fine. I'm not really too concerned about that. The people that responded to me, this is what's very interesting. So I had posted on my personal Facebook, which you're going to see right here. This is me. On top, it says, "Imagine seeing this guy come through your window late at night. Now imagine this happening when you were 5. Whoever rendered this and left it on the internet, I know for a fact you've seen this dude. Because when I was 5, I saw him too." Now, for anybody that knows me, knows this story about me. This did happen. This is the exact, from the torso up. I didn't see anything from about his rib cage down. So, but I did see his hand, one of his hands. And I have a hard time remembering there's fingernails anymore. Like, I just don't remember. It's been 40 years since this happened. I just aged myself, darn it. This is what happened when I posted this. It was very interesting. I got a lot of comments on it. I'm not friends with as many people as others. The most interesting part was not who posted and commented on this post itself. It's people who actually messaged me behind the scenes that I would never have any clue was an experiencer. So it starts out, instead of going to most relevant, we're going to go to all comments. This happened when I was 5. Someone had posted, "Bro, why do they come at that age? That's when my contacts started too. I have extremely vivid nightmares about those experiences and being operated on." Then you have another person. 3 fingers is common. They also enter through an energy frequency space. And I think I've heard that before too. Have you?
The waviness on my back wall. It's like a mirror, shimmery. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like the story about a lot of stuff that you did there. Another person, and this is actually somebody that I did not expect to respond to it as well. I'm sure anybody that's going to go to my Facebook can see all these as well, so I'm not highly worried about it. "I 100% believe you. I had something come visit me when I was 7 or 8 years old. It didn't look like this, but had the big head and no features and would stand at the foot of my bed for a long time," which is very common. "It was all light, like light blue and green. If I saw this guy, I'd freak out. I don't know if what visited me was an alien, but was told it was." And as we were talking, you and myself before the show, you showed me the one behind you, which is similar to what you've seen.
Yes.
And then let's see, there's another one here, and it gets better. Someone posted, "UPS man." Yep, that's sometimes. So another individual who I've known for a couple decades now said, "The 3 fingers are so they can probe you." Just kidding. He really did say that. "I know the aliens are out there. I saw what looked like 2 stars while camping outside at a buddy's parents' house years ago so we could sneak out and meet some girls." Cool. "All of a sudden, one of the stars, quote unquote spaceships, took off, went across the sky with the other one chasing them, stopped. Then you saw some light beams, like they were shooting at the other star or ship. Then all of a sudden, after shooting, they streaked across the sky and disappeared. I thought I was seeing things. Then my buddy asked me if I had seen that, and I said yes." Then it gets crazier.
Yeah.
And in fact, Kira had said something on there, but about how 7 and 8 is kind of where it's at. So it's the young people we've been hearing a lot of that have gone through this, and have seen this stuff. But there was a gal, let me click into that real quick, that said immediately, and it's kind of weird how I got to read it. Hi, Grant, your post of the monster. I've seen one that was at my grandma's house in her bathroom window. I was about 4 years old. I had my family run out there to go find it. And I said, no way, and a few other things. And I said, have you had other experience since then? Is what I responded to her. She says, many. I was raised Christian too, because I was. I believe from the other accounts I have had, and my children have seen things too. I'm just more aware of what's around us. So I started getting comment after comment after comment of people that I never would have expected to even talk about this stuff. I mean, they all know me. They all know that I talk about it, but I've never had them share their story until I showed that. Another thing is the gal that I just recently became friends with on Facebook, a very, very interesting person, had gone into her Facebook account and posted something and tagged me in it about nosebleeds. So John Ramirez, John Ramirez had nosebleeds. And if you guys want to listen, this is crazy. Where he had a little bit of a stumble. He had nosebleeds for a long time. And then at work, he had a little bit of stumble. They took him to the CIA doctor, I guess is what you'd call it. And they're going up there, they're taking a look, and they said that he had in his nose, of course, he's been an experiencer. He believes that he's been taken and, looked at and worked on and stuff. And they found a incision, like a very precision incision. I just wanted to say that. In his nose. And then they also noted that there was a device in there. Something was in there. So they came back, they kind of talked amongst themselves and came back and asked him if they could take it out. And sure, why not? So they did. The nosebleeds quit after they took it out. Then he got out of the CIA, and of course, there's a slew of things you got to do to be able to leave there. And he went in on just happenstance, said, hey, I'd like to have my medical records while I was here. And they were classified. He could not have his medical records.
Wow.
Straight up classified. Could you imagine that?
Well, that just tells you that there's something going on, right?
Yep. There was a gal or a couple on an interview today that I was listening to afterwards. I completely forgot who it was, but that's fine. I can look it up and tell you guys later. They were talking about something similar. Totally different podcast. Like 5 hours later, I was listening to another one because of the way I work. I just listen to podcasts all day. Then they were talking about it, and there was a gal, actually it's a husband and wife. Mm-hmm. The man, they went in, they got x-rays, they found stuff in them. This lady had some kind of antenna in like her tooth and the bone, and the dentist was like, or the doctor was like, I can't even get to that. I can't even take that out. Like, how am I going to do that? She ended up leaving it in. To this day, she still has it. The husband got his removed. This happens so often. And the nosebleeds is what's crazy, because I've had nosebleeds after my experience for years, to the point where they had to cauterize my nose because they couldn't figure out what was going on. They kept telling me I was picking my nose too much. Absolutely wild. It blew me away. So this other gal that I'm talking to on June 22nd posted up, what age did you have your first abduction contact experience? Lee, what age?
Probably about 5.
Same here. Everybody in the chats, if you go ahead and just put up your one number age, let's see what age. If you've been a contactee of some sort or had something interesting happen to you, please put it up in the chat for us. Then she tagged me in it and says, let's see what answers we get. And oh my gosh, we do not have enough time for me to even remotely read them all. It got crazy. It was just one after another, and all these people were having these nosebleeds.
Yeah.
And I mean, she has 2.4 thousand followers, so I wasn't very shocked that she had that much response to that. But did you get nosebleeds?
I got nosebleeds and ear bleeds.
Dude, that one blows me away.
Mm-hmm. I'd wake up and I'd have blood on my pillow. Well, often. So,
gosh, man. And
even
now,
to this day, that'll happen.
have you ever had X-rays or any kind of CT scans?
Yes, I have had a CT deal with migraines.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that's typical for abductees too, to have migraines, sensitivity to light.
Oh, I have the sensitivity to light, but I don't know if I don't have the pain. I just but I wear like really dark glasses everywhere I go for the most part.
Good. Yeah.
And then we also have, let's pull this up here, Kurt W75. My nosebleeds really started happening around, I would say, age 12, maybe younger teens. Yep. Mine were a little earlier than that. Mine really started at 5 or shortly thereafter. I mean, I'm not going to be able to pin it down to 5, 6, 7 month day. It's somewhere around there. And it was until I was either early teens or actually might even be, it might have been early teens when they finally cauterized my nose and it quit. But it was like, I'd be walking around doing nothing. Just I've been all day, walk around, and all of a sudden just a flood. Oops, excuse me.
So, yeah. Mine would happen, or I'd wake up with it. And that's the way it would be. They wouldn't happen during the day. It was always after, a night's sleep.
Right. Well, I don't know if I want to ask you this or not. I might ask you in private. Nah, I'm going to ask you anyway. So when you had those nosebleeds in the middle of the night, do you think it was due to something going on, and then you wake up to the nosebleed? Like, so something happened to you right then and there, and then you're put back, and then all of a sudden you got a nosebleed, and that's when you wake up? Or do you think it's just because of things that have happened to you in the past?
Yeah, I think they're probably situational, but I don't know for sure, right? I try to look back at it and think, well, did I feel odd that night? And sometimes I feel like I'm disconnected a little bit, like you're almost above yourself during the first part of the day and you're not reconnected.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
It's like it's kind of like you're in a fog almost, like, and you're just watching yourself like
go through the motions.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
really bizarre.
And you're not a big drinker, are you?
No.
I didn't think you were. And I would equate that to like, and of course this is situational too, because everybody has different hangovers and stuff. And I'm not trying to equate any of this to that, but there is a very specific type of drink. If I drink too much of it, it makes me feel that similar thing where I just feel like I'm going through the motions.
I want to guess it's tequila.
Well, unfortunately, you have seen my worst on tequila. In fact, you had to pour me back into my room.
Man. Those were good times.
I don't get to do that very often. So when I do, I kind of go ham out. I just go buck wild, and it catches up to me very quickly, unfortunately. So speaking of which, next year when we have our Spaced Out Radio get together, I don't know where it's going to be. It hasn't been finalized yet. But please know that everybody's invited. Last year, they just did one in Vegas this year, one in Reno last year, Vegas the year before that. Usually it's Vegas. But yeah, come on down, show up and show your support. Also, another great way to show support is super chats are always open and a great way to help us keep the lights on, especially for who's coming up next. That is our leader, Dave Scott, with his Monday through Friday show. And he will be on here in just a few minutes. That is, I actually love watching him. I listen to him more than I watch him, though. I will be honest.
Yeah, that's just the same.
Yeah. I have to just wake up the next day, plug it in, and listen. Then also your show, Element 115 on Friday. Then we have our after-hour show during the weekend, plus Dirty Phil's show on Sunday. So join us. We have 7 days a week, man.
That's right.
Of shows.
You can't miss it. I want to talk about one quick thing.
Yeah.
Before we end the show. Did you hear? I just heard this the other day, and it kind of blew my socks off, that Ross Coulthart was detained by the U.S. Customs after interviewing David Grush. Did you know about that? In the airport.
No.
And it was, from what he says, a high level, basically. So if I break that down in my mind, that tells me that somebody did not want that going on and was
What?
harassing him. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, dude. That's
Mhm.
wild. I didn't even hear that. I totally missed it. Holy mackerel. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
look that up now. Is
Yeah.
there any more to that story? Did he come out and say something about it yet?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did.
Ross did, just like 2 days ago.
Missed it.
And it's like, what? What? So wait a minute. I thought UFOs weren't real. Then why are you harassing somebody about a news story?
Yep. Yep. And he has it all. Like, oh well, not all, but he has some really good sources. I know that. And of course, maybe they're grilling him on what David Grush told him.
Yeah, it didn't sound like that. He called it harassment. So back right away when they were going to detain him and all of that, he said, listen here, I'm going to put you on live right now. We're going to go live, and then you can tell everybody why you're detaining me.
Yeah.
And that shut him down, apparently. So,
well, yeah, I mean, there's anybody that's watching anything, you always come across, whatever your platform is, you're going to come across those people that are being illegally detained by some sort of, police or whatever it is. And they of course, it gets kind of buck wild because they know their rights, and he does. It's an illegal detainment. Has he committed a crime? No. Why are you harassing me? And so,
yeah, all his paperwork was in order and everything. Yeah.
Yep. And Frankie B, all you do is copy and paste the link into the show, into the comments, and everybody will see them, because the comments will actually keep running for just a few minutes after we end the live stream. So you have about 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes a little more, just depends on YouTube. And so that's the reason why Race Fan and Nicholas Shaughnessy used to get in a war on who could say, oh, I'm going to be the last one out. I'm going to be the last one out. Remember that, Race Fan? I remember. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us for this hour. And obviously, you got a great show coming on tonight with Dave Scott. Don't forget to check out our swag on spacedoutradio.com/shop. We don't have ugly swag. And thank you. And Lee, thank you so much for being with us here every single time as well. You've been a great support, and I really appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, I love getting on here and having a conversation with you. That's what it's about, and informing everybody of the news of the week.
Yep, absolutely. Also, Race Fan, there it says we need a 24/7 SOR chat room. There is one, actually. And Race Fan, I will send you that so you can get into it. And so anybody that wants to join it, they can. I think all you have to do is really look it up on
Facebook.
That's right. And what is it? It's not ours. I won't say ours. I think it's just called Spaced Out Radio. You get it? Yep. Spaced Out Radio. You can go on to our chats. Yep. And it is definitely 24 hours. So sweet sauce. I'm on it. Lee, you're on it. Everybody's on it.
Of course. Yeah,
we can all see it. And it's great. A lot of people that have been on the show, people that you might want to talk to, get on there and you're able to talk to them and chat back and forth, put your experiences in there. It'll be great. I would love to hear it and watch it, because if you guys put your experiences in there and Dave happens to see it, watch out. You might be getting contacted.
There you go.
Maybe make it onto the show, which would be great for all of us. All right, Lee, you have a good night, my friend.
You too, and everybody else out there.
We'll see you later. Oh, this is awesome. Oh my goodness. And here we go.